Hi, and welcome to another edition of Elmira News and Views. My name is Elmira. I am your host. On this show, we delve into hidden history, lies, music, entertainment, all of those kinds of things. And as you can see from the title, it's Black People Believe Lies More Than the Truth. There is a stark reason I'm doing this today because something got on my nerves these past couple of weeks. How everybody, it seems like every black creator has been given, and here I am too. So I'm in the number. I admit to being in that number, but I'm approaching this different. Cheyenne Bryant. She brought up something for me that I've noticed for many, many years, how the black population collectively, and you may say, Elmira, but it's not all. Stop saying that because we're going to get into that today. Yeah, I understand it's not all, but why have so many people given her and other people like her? Why does she get play? Why does she get notoriety? Why is she getting put on all of these shows? I mean, I could start naming the list not only of the individuals, but the institutions. I've done it on this channel, how the black church is keeping women single, following behind people like Stefan Speaks or Lateris Whitfield or anybody. It could be on any side of the bench, because this could be somebody ultra religious or somebody you would consider more spiritual. It could be a Democrat. It could be a Republican. I don't care, because I'm all about truth. The truth is in the middle. The truth is in love and universal consciousness. But for some reason, we want to believe the lies over the truth. Okay, I want to get into it because one of the things I do is investigate with AI. So I was conversating with Gemini and following through with some of the psychology of this mechanism. Here it is. I said, do black people believe lies more than the truth? Scientific research and sociological data does not support the claim that black people are more likely to believe lies than the truth. Human susceptibility to misinformation is driven by cognitive biases. We're going to get into two of them. I want to talk more deeply about two cognitive biases, but this is letting us know, as a black population, any population really, we have biases. I have biases as a woman. I have biases as a black woman. I have biases as someone who lives in the United States. I have biases as someone who graduated college from Virginia Tech. We all have a bias. That's why we have to really question stuff like statistics. We got to question stuff like food, what they tell us about certain foods, because there's a bias depending on who reported the facts. Psychological factors and the nature of the information presented, not by race. Okay, why misinformation spread? These are some reasons why misinformation spreads across the board. Cognitive dissonance and illusory truth. Illusions. Psychological studies show that all people are more likely to believe statements that align with their existing worldview. I can tell you about this just in its entirety. I grew up Christian, lived next door to the church, the Baptist church. My worldview was all Christian. I knew nothing else. I didn't know a Muslim. I didn't know a Buddhist. I didn't even know, I knew these people existed, but it really wasn't until college when I began studying. One of my college courses was the three main Abrahamic religions. And I started to question a lot of things because my cognitive dissonance was falling. I was no longer just among only the people who believe what I believed growing up. And this is what happens to the black population. Only around people who believe only what they believe leads to cognitive dissonance. Vulnerability to misinformation. While no specific demographic has an inherent flaw in discerning truth, systemic factors influence the types of misinformation certain communities are exposed to. For example, a 2024 poll by African American Research Collaborative found that Black Americans disproportionately encounter false information online. Hmm. Partly because they rely more heavily on social media platforms like YouTube and Instagram for news. That's interesting. But see, there could be bias in that too. Why is the report saying that more social media platforms are false when maybe there are some YouTubers actually telling the truth? Whatever your truth is. Everything, to me, because I'm an investigator, everything should be questioned. Historical and sociological context. Combating destructive stereotypes, sociologists and educators, such as those analyzing historical and contemporary myths, have documented how false narratives have historically been used to dehumanize or marginalize the Black community. Yeah, this is true. So even with what we believe coming from us, coming from our own mentals, we are living out the stereotypes that have been placed on us. Think about that. So I'm, as a Black woman, because of the stereotypes, massive around the world, I have misconceptions, misperceptions about Black men because those stereotypes are passed heavily. So now I'm even thinking a Black man is lying to me because of what has been said collectively. Think on that. Think, is has there ever been a situation in your life? I know it has for me, where I've discounted or looked at a Black man lower or even a Black woman lower because of what I was taught. What I was taught at college. Oh, they're not teaching you well because they're not teaching it this way. It doesn't sound proper. It doesn't sound professional. So there's no way it could be rooted in truth, rooted in love, rooted in universal consciousness. Here we go, perceptions of truth. Research specifically studying trust and deception indicates that individuals across different backgrounds are influenced by unconscious biases when evaluating others. A classic study on race and lie detection found that perceptions of truth and deception are highly variable and often swayed by internalized stereotypes and prejudice. Yeah, internalized. And which group of people, because we gotta be honest about this. Which group of people all over the world has been mass stereotyped? You can't say it's the Chinese woman. Don't sit here and lie and tell me it's the Siberian man. Don't sit here and tell me, oh, it's the Jew. No, it's not. It is what we term in this modern time, which we call modern, the Black man and woman. So now so many reasons to question the truth, y'all. This is something that caught me off guard because if you remember, my original question was, do Black people believe lies more than truth? Why are these the resources? Lies about Black people. So they even put us as the other in our own thinking. Think about that. We're talking about what we are empowered to believe, and they put us in a position of inferiority. Remember my story I did with Teresa, the myth of Black inferiority. So we are now still saying lies about Black people, not lies Black people believe. So even the resources are not supportive of the question. They're not aligned with the question because they're putting us in the position of, oh, we're always being victimized. So we're not even empowered to decide what's the truth or the lie. And I caught this even in the AI, in Gemini. Okay, what was my next question? What are 4 reasons people believe the way they do? People form their beliefs through a combination of psychological, social, and neurological factors. The first one, cognitive basis, confirmation bias. People naturally seek out information that matches their existing views. For example, current Elmira seeks out information that's talking about universal love. If the people are divisive, oh, the Democrats did this, the Republicans did this, or President Trump did this, Prime Minister did this, oh, the President of South Africa did this. I don't listen to it. And people may be like, you're not living in reality, Elmira, because you know the world is at war. But I admit my own confirmation bias. I only want to confirm the things speaking about universal love. I admit it. We got to admit what we believe, each one of us. The illusory truth effect. Human brains mistake repetition for accuracy. Listen to this. Human brains mistake repetition for accuracy. Let me go back to 22-year-old Elmira, about to graduate college. I've only been repeatedly told Jesus is the light of the world. Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Philippians 4:13. How many times have I read Philippians 4:13? How many times did I go to Sunday school? Live next door to the church. How many times did I sing a certain song? Blessed be the tie that binds. So my brain thought that that was accurate. It was the only truth because I repeated it over and over again. That's how the subconscious programming happened. If somebody told me repeatedly that I was a lion and I have 8 legs, I would believe that I'm a lion with 8 legs. You might say that's crazy. No, whatever you are told repeatedly, you believe. Somebody can tell you repeatedly, you are an angel, you're an angel, you're an angel. You'll believe it. Or if somebody tells you, you're the devil, you're the devil, you're the devil, you're the devil, you'll believe that too. Hearing a statement multiple times makes it feel true. Listen to this. This is the illusory truth effect. We assume that is true because it feels true in our body because we've heard it on repeat. Social and cultural conditioning, tribalism. We're one of the biggest tribe of people, melanated indigenous folks. Humans possess an evolutionary need to belong, causing individuals to adopt the beliefs of their social group or political party to remain accepted. This is one of the things on my healing journey I had to face the most. I didn't want to be seen as separate from my family, separate from the religion I grew up with, separate from other women, the way other women believe, separate from employees because I became an entrepreneur. The tribe wants us to follow the tribe. Oh, don't leave us. Oh, you might get away from us. You might do better than us. That was it. Like it gave me a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of, even I did a story today on Healing is War podcast. That was the episode. With my wealth, I didn't want to be a millionaire because it would distance me from my family. They not millionaires, they thousandaires, and that's where my mind was. I wanted to only be with the tribe. Family upbringing, core values, religious views, we talked about them. Emotional needs, comfort and control, identity protection. What's your identity? If I identify as a black man, a black woman, I want to protect my identity because what is one thing we always say? Oh, we gonna revoke your black card. So if you stop not acting like the tribe, they gonna take away your black card, this invisible black card, because you're not acting like the majority of the people. You don't believe the same thing that the majority of the people do. It's wild, right? Environmental and media exposure, algorithm echo chambers. OMG, this is so true. So we'll start believing certain things about black men, black women, the Republicans, the Democrats, you name it. Because our algorithm proves it to be true. Because the more you watch this particular content creator, let's talk about Nature Boy, because Nature Boy was a hit and they just released the Hulu documentary. He was a hit back in like what, 2016, 2017, 2018, going on. Because when people would tune into Nature Boy, they would give them more Nature Boy esque content. So then that made it seem like, oh yeah, we got to distance ourselves. President Trump just came in office. He doing stuff bad for the black people. I heard Aaron Lyons say this too because I was aware of this, but I never put it this way. They kept showing black men getting killed on TV. So now our algorithm is saying all black men are getting killed. We don't hear about the black men going to college, the black men starting businesses, the black men healing like I know they do. Supernova Slom, Queen Afua's son. If your algorithm isn't tuned into that, you will think something is a lie. You will say, no, black men ain't healing. They over here doing this. They're red pill. They're blah, 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 blah. It's an echo chamber. Information scarcity. Okay. You see here, there are psychological, social, these biases existing when it comes to what we believe as the truth. Because the truth, you got to be honest about it, is a belief. But I will also say the truth can be supported by facts. And that can be argued as well. Anything can be argued, truth be told. Because somebody could say, even though I can see with my eyes, with my cones and my rods and my retina in my eyes, that this hair is black, somebody else could come on here and say it's polka dot spike yellow and brown. I know it's not, but they're going to say it. Somebody else could come on here and say, oh, Elmira's shirt is not off the shoulder, it's covering her shoulders. Why do I see and feel that they're off my shoulders? Somebody else is thinking, and their repetition could have told them different. So when you're encountering people, you're encountering black people, you're encountering all this stuff. It could be an article, a video. I spoke about Cheyenne Bryant. I can talk about Umar Johnson. Y'all know Umar Johnson was lying to you. But we believed them. There's still a segment of the black population and others, because it's probably not just black people, who believe what he's saying. This dude ain't built a school. He been talking about this school for 10 years. Where the school at? Where the school at? Where the school at? I don't see them schools. Whoa, 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 whoa. The school never was built from the ground. No, it was never built. Where the school at? But we still believe him because he's black. He's part of the tribe, and he's proven himself to be part of the tribe because of how he speaks, how he looks. He's from Philly. Oh my gosh, he's wearing a dashiki. He's got to be telling the truth. OMG, she says she's got a degree. She's got to be telling the truth. Oh my gosh, she quoted Bible verses. She's got to be telling the truth. No, investigate. Oh, they have a degree. They said they were educated. They got to be telling the truth. That's how y'all get swindled, scammed, everything. Believe your intuition and understand that there may be some biases. All right. I want to talk about these biases because it's necessary to get into. Hold on a second. It's necessary for us to detail what these biases are, because we can't understand them if we don't know what they are. Hold on. I want to share my screen here because the first one is the confirmation bias. What is the confirmation bias? Here we go. This is resource from Talentino Teaching. This is for English teachers. I'm going to play it and then we'll discuss.
You ever heard someone say, I base my beliefs on facts? Or I wait for the facts before I make a decision? Or, my favorite, Facts don't care about your feelings. This, of course, sounds good. Striving to be objective and fact based is a good thing. However, even the facts can get distorted by something called confirmation bias. This is the human tendency to seek facts and information that agrees with existing beliefs while disregarding information.
Oh, I thought I wasn't going to say something, but I got to talk about this Venn diagram here because notice the intersection of these two ideals, objective facts, and what confirms your belief, what you see is the confirmation bias. So when we combine the blue with the yellow, we get green. So we're ignoring everything that does not support our beliefs or the objective facts. And this is the intersection of all of that.
That conflicts with these same beliefs. For example, pretend that you love coffee. You love the smell, the taste, the sound of the coffee brewing, everything. And the great thing about coffee, you think, is that it's healthy for you. You know this because you have been reading about the benefits of coffee for years. In fact, Johns Hopkins Medicine, one of the most venerated medical institutions in the world, says there are 9 reasons why coffee is good for you. And all these reasons are backed up by facts and data. That's right, facts and data. Here are some of the facts that demonstrate the health benefits of coffee. Now, you're never going to believe this, but a friend of this coffee loving fellow refuses to drink coffee. Yeah, strange, I know. He says coffee is unhealthy for you. He has read facts and data proving this for years, he says. For example, coffee can increase your risk of heart disease and worsen anxiety disorders. He knows this because WebMD says so, and he wants to follow the science. Now, both of these people.
You know, one thing I got to say about this, because this goes into what we're talking about with confirmation bias. To me, because they're breaking it down in this visual, don't just believe what somebody else told you, because the guy who's saying, "Oh, I believe coffee is wrong," he's trusting WebMD, something outside of himself, instead of saying, "I don't know if coffee is wrong because coffee wasn't good for him." That's not what he's saying. He's not saying that coffee wasn't good for him or 5 of his peers or 20 of his peers. He's trusting in an outside source. To me, with all of this analysis of the lies and the truth, trust your own self better than you do something outside of yourself. The facts, surveys, all of that.
Could be right with their facts. However, if they only read information that agrees with their previous beliefs and refuse to read opposing viewpoints, then that is a prime example of confirmation bias. To combat confirmation bias, it is essential to proactively seek news and information that disagrees with our beliefs. Many people don't like to do this because it is often uncomfortable to have our beliefs challenged. The instinct is to resist. However, as objective, fair, and nuanced thinkers, it is imperative that we seek discomfort. The more facts we can gather from various sources and viewpoints, the more well-rounded our ideas will become. Your task is to follow a person or news organization on social media that holds beliefs contrary to yours. If you don't have social media, then frequently visit the website of a person or news organization you disagree with. The mission is not to poke fun or get angry at this new perspective, but to try to understand the logic and point of view of others. So get reading, get thinking, and be prepared to write a 250-word or more reflection describing what you learned from this experience.
Well, that's it. You have to consult sources, resources, people, agencies, organizations that disagree with your beliefs, that are a dissension from your belief. I did that personally. When I used to identify as a Democrat, because that's what I was taught, I started to watch Fox News. I started to listen to Republican congressmen and congresswomen and senators and say, they got a point about something. They got a point. I'll even now watch, what do you call it? Jubilee. Jubilee will have these things on where they'll say, oh, one conservative versus all the liberals, or uh, people with parents versus people, I mean, people with children versus people without children. You have to be willing to debate. And this is rooted in me because I was actually on the forensics team in high school. I did academic challenge. I love to be challenged. I love to listen to other people's opinions. Because for me, when you understand a dissenting opinion, you either become further rooted in your truth or you start to come more to the middle, which is universal truth, universal love, source consciousness. Because believe you me, God ain't saying, oh, I don't like Elmira because she wore a red shirt today. God don't even know. God don't know what we doing. We as the human are the ones disagreeing, battling, lies, truth. This one said that. I don't believe what they say. I'm not going to buy their book because they said this. I don't want to watch their program because they said this. Oh, I got to watch the new Netflix series. This is human 3D stuff, but God don't be caring about that. Okay, I want to tell you all more about what group bias is. I have another I have another share for you. What is in group bias? Let me cue up this video real quick. Okay, hold on. In group bias. This it's courtesy. I'll tell you after the video. I'll actually put it in here, but I always give credit to the creators who made these visuals for us. In group bias. Oh, shoot. Come on now.
In-group bias is the tendency for people to favour members of their own group over people from other groups. This can happen with any kind of group, whether it's based on shared interests, sports teams, neighbourhoods, or even something as simple as being in the same.
Oh, I gotta head this off because you know what was the motivation for this. People like Cheyenne Bryant, Umar Johnson, who else? I don't know. It's like a whole list of these folks. Pastor Jamal Bryant, because the person looks like us, we think they are with us. They got blackface, but they really something else. That's something. I heard Rod Hayes say this when he said when he recognized that the people who did us wrong years ago, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, were actually look like us. He was in disgust. He was like, wait a minute, we've been told this whole time they were pale face. They were a different color, so to speak, a different race. But no, they were in our group. So that's why we still believe people that are in our group because they look like us. That's the reason they can lie to us. But what the Kendrick Lamar song say? They not like us. Kendrick Lamar in that song, this is how you know a song is good because there's could be multiple interpretations of it. When he says, the lyric says, they not like us, they not like us, it could be somebody who's melanated and you thinking they're in your group, but they're not with your group. They're pretending to be in your group so they can abuse your group.
Class. People often see their group or in-group as more trustworthy, capable or likeable than outsiders, even if there is no real reason to think that way. In-group bias is not always intentional, but it can influence how people think, feel and act without them realising it. It plays a role in how friendships are formed, how teamwork happens, and even how conflicts begin. One major cause of in-group bias is the need for belonging. Humans naturally want to feel connected to others, and being part of a group gives a sense of identity and safety. When people see themselves as part of a group, they start to care more about how that group is viewed and treated. Another cause is social comparison. People like to feel good about themselves, and one way to do that is by seeing their group as better than others. This leads to exaggerating the positives of their.
You know, one thing I had to confront with this in-group bias, I have actually distanced myself from a lot of people talking about black power or black empowerment. I'm not saying I don't believe in that, but what I was noticing is it was giving me in-group bias. It was making me believe them just because of the color of their skin. No, that's not legitimate. I was exaggerating, like this says right here, exaggerating the positives and not paying attention to the positives of other groups, the things I could find from other groups. There was a time that I hated white people. I'm telling you, because that's what I was seeing. That's what I was being told. Oh, you should hate whitey. They did you wrong. And I'll tell you how I knew that was not the right way to be, because I was feeling sick inside. I was feeling anxious. That viewpoint did not make me feel healthy. You will also know if you're living in truth because it will feel like ease in your body. Your nervous system will be settled. Your voice won't be trembly or shaky. You will be able to be around people you both agree with and disagree with. But this in-group bias was messing me up some kind of terrible. I had to dump it. Once I learned and elevated more spiritually and I did more healing, I started to see that not everybody, what they say, all skin folk ain't your kinfolk. Even the skin folk in my family ain't my kinfolk. And you might be like, but you grew up with them. They're your cousin. They're your blood. But what do they support? Or what do they show? What do they activate in their life? If they're not in alignment with the mission I'm on, I can't just simply believe them because they're black. They're my kinfolk. That's in-group bias.
Their own group, while ignoring or downplaying the positives of other groups. Finally, some researchers believe that the brain is wired to categorize things quickly, including people, which can lead to automatic favoritism for those who seem familiar or similar. In-group bias can lead to unfair treatment of others. When people strongly favor their own group, they may ignore the ideas, needs, or abilities of people from outside groups. This can cause problems like bullying, exclusion, or even larger social divisions. In school or work settings, in-group bias might lead to favoritism, making it harder for outsiders to get equal opportunities. It can also make people less open to different perspectives, which limits learning and cooperation. Over time, these effects can build walls between groups, making it harder to trust or understand each other. Now let's look at some examples. In a classroom, students might form friend groups and show loyalty to their own group members, helping each other with homework, but ignoring others who are not part of their group. On a sports team, players might support their teammates no matter what, even if someone from another team plays just as well or better. In community events, people might choose to work with neighbours they already know, even if.
I mean, I'm thinking back to school. I saw this in the band. As a member of the marching band playing the trumpet in high school, you were in the band or not in the band. So people, yeah, on the outside might have called us, oh, there goes some band geeks. They're out there marching on the field, doing their thing. And but we didn't let other people who were not in the band geeks. There were no football players in the band. There were no baseball players in the band. There were no yearbook people in the band. Now, maybe you have multiple roles like me. I was on the yearbook and the band. To me, that's where you start to fully embrace truth because you start to be members of various groups. You're not only members of one group. This was me. Even though I was smart, Miss Smarty Pants, number three in my class, I was in multiple groups and people knew me. Just because I was termed like the little black girl, the little black quiet girl, A lot of different groups knew who I was. Even though I wasn't ingrained in their group, everybody knew me. And I feel like that's one of my gifts. I'm making you aware of this, because some of this awareness is coming to me now too. I've always been fluid, kind of like a chameleon. And I sometimes had thought about it as a bad thing, like I was putting on an act to be accepted by this group. No, it's because I understand people. I'm a bridge between different groups. I could get what the band geeks were saying, I could get what the jocks were saying. Still to this day, I get it. I can sit down and talk when I'm tutoring my students. I can get down with somebody who's speaking more slang just as well as I can get down with somebody who wants to be all intellectual into the books. I can do it all because that's what a teacher can do. The teacher can connect with the people outside of the group. You can speak language, bilingual, trilingual, multilingual. I feel like I'm multilingual.
Other volunteers are just as helpful. These everyday examples show how common and subtle in-group bias can be. In-group bias matters because it shapes how people make decisions, form relationships, and build communities. If left unchecked, it can limit fairness, reduce cooperation, and create barriers between groups that need to work together. In schools, this might mean some students feel left out or overlooked. In teams or workplaces, it might mean missing out on valuable ideas from people outside the main group. Understanding in-group bias helps people recognise when they are being unfair, even without meaning to, and gives them a chance to act more thoughtfully. It also reminds us that being kind and open to others is not just good manners. It helps everyone grow.
I have 3 businesses that are selling on Shopify. Once I figured out that Shopify was a
Okay, we
thing,
got an. Oh, that was the end. I was like, okay, they put an ad in the middle of the jank. But overall, you saw what that meant. Because you're a member of this group, you're more likely to believe what the group believes. So the challenge for you is, are you looking at things outside of your group? Are you looking at content, paraphernalia, books, listening to people outside of your group, whatever that group is? You heard my example of from back in high school. Your group, in group, should not be your only determining factor of truth, your worldview. You should be taking on the worldview of other people, considering what they see, considering what they experience, because it's not just about you. Black people believe lies more than the truth. This is it. The illusory truth effect, in group biases, confirmation bias, all these emotional and psychological factors. This has been another edition of News and Views. We will see you next time. Goodbye.